I just tend to have raised my concerns about what's going on, about the sustainability of debt. And I think what I also tell Soyade is also that I'm concerned about the foreign debt that's being raised. Our foreign debt now is about $46 billion, and local debt is about 80 trillion. We shouldn't be borrowing money in dollars to bring back to Naira to fund our operations. It's completely wrong. If we're looking to have any offshore obligation, because again, I don't even know the revenue profiles anymore. How much is coming in from NNPC? How much is NNPC remitting? But luckily, we have reserves of close to $50 billion now, which shows a significant level of stability. And the central bank governor says net reserves are in excess of $30 billion, which at a point in time was less than $1 billion at the height of the takeover of this government, when this administration moved from the Buhari to the Tinubu era. The way the reform was handled was not the best, and the central bank governor was not appointed on time. The finance minister was not appointed on time, and you made announcements which kind of unsettled the market. And before we realized what was happening, another 7 trillion in ways and means financing had gone. So my concern really is the fact that let us understand the balance sheet of the government. Again, the problem we have is that the debt figures we have is still at June. I don't know why the Debt Management Office cannot release up-to-date debt figures, because, I mean, we know we can figure it out. We can extrapolate and understand the borrowing pattern. For instance, the Debt Management Office has announced they're going to borrow 800 billion this February. So we know that their run rate is about 1 trillion a month, which is the capacity from the local domestic markets. But having said that, what I will tell you is the fact that we all know that if we took the balance sheet of the federal government of Nigeria and removed its name and took it before any credit committee of any bank, they wouldn't give them any money because of the leverage. The numbers are completely out of whack. And it's only because it's a sovereign that we're looking at it. If you're going to give 15.6 trillion naira to the banks every year, it's a good place to be. They are not complaining because both the international banks and the local banks are going to benefit. And of course, we need to maintain our Eurobond ratings and rankings, and I agree with all that. But we need to take a critical look, because we don't see where all this funding is going to. It's the impact for me that is the issue. I think Mr. Tereba will understand that the reason why we have the CRR is to lower inflation. And I think we all know that disinflation has been one of the successes that has been achieved for these reforms. And hopefully this year, we should get to single-digit inflation. We all know that. And I think there's still a disparity between the rates that government is borrowing at 22% and the MPR at 27%. So hopefully there will be some corrections from the next MPC meetings by reducing the MPR. But having said that, my own contribution is just to say that we have a challenge, and we shouldn't take these challenges lightly, because it can ferment a crisis if it's not properly managed. And the legislators that I engaged last week, their own attitude is to continue to spend and to find ways to spend that money. But again, like I've said, we need to look at other alternatives and engage private sector, public sector, private sector participation. What can you concession? Even if you cannot, there are very few state-owned enterprises that you can list at the moment. Most of them have been privatized. So the other ones that you can look at concessions, the ones you can privatization. Even the privatization in the budget is only 300 billion. Less than 1%. So I thank you all for your contributions, and I continue to engage you individually. I understand Prof's concern about exactly where's the impact. So all this borrowing, where is it impacting? Where is it going? To also answer Prof, we have a Fiscal Responsibility Act, and there's supposed to be a Fiscal Responsibility Commission to monitor a lot of government spending. But unfortunately, that commission has not been empowered. And I made a commitment to the Senate that after they've passed this budget, we should take a look at ways we can enhance the Fiscal Responsibility Act and bring it up to line with the current realities of the Nigerian economy. For me, in terms of my own advocacy, I always access people and ask their opinion and engage them. But I think what government also has to realize, Soede, is the fact that you guys are doing a terrible job in transmitting even your successes. And I think that it is important that, since you are working at the level of the coordinating minister of the economy, I think it's important that we have that dialogue. It's not just MPC that we must have a formal dialogue after MPC, the central bank governor comes out and says something. It is important that the coordinating minister of the economy also come out and engage. If every quarter, these are the quarterly updates, this is what's going on. Engage and dialogue. And of course, I engage you. If I need something, I call this person, call XY, call Z. What's going on, and it's different. And yes, is that trust deficit I think people are concerned about. But I think that trust deficit, again, has now led to a lot of complacency because some people do not want to follow the process of any privatization or any government process. You've already killed it with your negativity and the fact that are they serious? Are they going to sell it to their friends? But sometimes, you follow a process. At the end of the day, you realize you are the only person left there. So I think that engagement between the public sector and the private sector, and I think the coordinating minister of the economy side, whereby giving us a full view, because all the MPC does is give us monetary. So I think the coordinating minister of the economy needs to engage more on a quarterly basis and give us the full view of the economy, both monetary policy, fiscal policy, investment, trade, and industrial policy. So we have a full view of the process. So in closing, all I'm going to say is the fact that the potential of the Nigerian economy is there. We need to manage it properly. The gains of these last 2 years, the government needs to be able to promote that. And of course, the challenge now is to come up with your disinflation and growth strategies for productivity. I think, as Mr. Chukwu has said, the key now is creating productivity, employment that will grow the economy at about 8 to 10%. So those are the strategies that I see that you need to project going forward. Continue with these programs. They're there, they're transparent. But like I said, you guys need to come out and let people know better what you're doing. The reforms, as you see, the results of those reforms are there. But as we've said, there is need for you to connect properly with the public on this issue. Now, my final note is on this taxation. Nigerian Revenue Service has increased the taxes of Nigerians with these new tax laws. The tax projections for this year is going to be 40% higher collections than they did last year. So what that means clearly is the fact that we have a tax increase, especially if our projected GDP is about 4.4%. Now, with all these increased taxes, the budget is failing because you've now budgeted a lot more, which is unrealistic, and now you have a deficit of 25 trillion. But you're raising taxes. You see, so you cannot continue to raise taxes and then basically begin to budget higher than what your revenues are. For me, this is the biggest disconnect. So we need a fiscal reset, and that's why I talk about the Fiscal Responsibility Act.